once or twice. All right, and it didn't work. All right. So for those that are absent, doing this new video, I try to do these more as we get through the year here. Get rid of my old videos. Me complaining about Fifth Hour last year. All right, so I like this one. This, to me, I could see people, not that I don't see it in the other one, but I could see people doing this at a table when they get an inheritance, and an inheritance that doesn't have money in it. So this would be a discrete division, which is our first statement right there. What's discrete division mean? Can I or can I not cut the items in the pieces? You're going to need to know this. It's like one of the questions on your test. Can't. You know, if you have a car, a house, you can't cut those into parts and then give them part of the house and part of the car. It's not how it works. So I like this one. Like I said, I could see people... I'm actually doing this at a table to distribute this fairly. Please, you know, just follow these steps, and we'll put them in words first. Whenever we give you steps in words, it doesn't come through clearly. Close that Chromebook. Did I say good morning? Good morning. All right. So you got a certain amount of players. And what ends up happening is money does get involved in these things that are not possibly divided out. So we'll just leave that at that and go through the steps. There actually is a step 5 that I don't have written. I'll verbalize that. And please hold all questions until we get done with it, because it is a process. And I hope it makes sense at the end, and it probably won't make sense in the middle. So, and I will talk about these steps, thinking about our example, like what happens in each step. So number 1, should be no problem. We have a certain amount of items that are being inherited. We sit down by ourselves somewhere and make a bid on each of the items. So we say to ourselves, I think this is worth this much. Maybe I really want it, so I'm going to bid a little bit higher. I want to win this item. I want to be the one that owns this when I walk out of here because it has sentimental value maybe. Or the item's worth this. I'm going to bid a little lower because I really don't want the item. But I will say this right now. You are really hurting yourself in this situation if you way underbid. And you'll see as we go through this process why. So say you have a car. Well, I don't want that car. I'm only going to bid $1. You have really hurt what you're going to end up getting out of this at the end. So why it says an honest bid doesn't mean like be honest. Like an honest bid means you better come close to what the value is. Otherwise, you're really hurting yourself in the scenario. So just make a note to self on that, and we'll talk about that at the end, why that is the case. And the homework's great. Number 1 in your homework's real basic. This is as difficult as the question's going to be. Number 1 talks about what happens when you underbid, how you hurt yourself. I can kind of talk about this with our actual question we're going to do. Then step 2, the winning bids. That's what step 2 is about. Each item goes to the highest bidder, but that highest bidder has to pay that money on paper, right? Because we have to do some figuring, and at the end we'll hash out what happens. But we say the winning bidder will pay that dollar amount that they bid, and that goes into what's called a compensation fund. And you'll see as this goes on, and I'll make the note of it when we're doing the actual example, they don't actually come with the money and put this money on the table. But we say, okay, this is what you bid, you won, this is what we're putting you down for. And then we're going to proceed on to step 3. Okay, so the winning bidders, that dollar amount is put into the compensation fund. Step 3, this is where it gets cloudy, and you won't understand this by words. But each player receives 1 over n. What do you think n is, by the way? What do you think n is? The number of people. You get 1 over n of his or her total bids, their actual perceived values. So they get 1 over the amount of people of their total, what they thought everything was worth. So that's why if you were a person that only bid $1, then you're really hurting yourself because you're hurting what you get back out of the compensation fund. Just kind of keep a note of that. And then there will be money left over in a compensation fund. Again, this won't make a lot of sense, but there is. It's physically impossible. You will have money left over when you do step 3. So step 4 is divide the leftover money by how many players there are and distribute that evenly after. All right, and then actually step 5 is we'll hash out what everyone walks away with. What does everyone walk away with after this is done? And then wait till that to really get a full concrete understanding of this. And through first and second hour, it seemed to go pretty good. You know, my second hour, people are dropping like flies. I mean, they're just leaving. There's adios, even if they have an A. I'm getting out of here. But then after they were like, oh, this kind of made sense. Maybe I'll stay. I don't know. We'll see. Dropping like flies. Was that too fast? I'll pause the video. Okay, you're writing this down, right? Okay, here's the scenario. You go ahead and read this and then pause the video. I'm not going to blabber on this, but well, I guess I will. 4 siblings, 4 people are involved in this inheritance, equal people. So they get equal portions. The person didn't have a will. They just said distribute it equally between the 4. Well, how do we do that when it's 3 items that can't be cut up? We'll do the method of sealed bids. So everyone goes off to their own. Jack, Ryan, Mikey, and Ellie. They go off to their own and say, okay, what do I think this house is worth? Well, maybe the person in charge says, all right, the house has somewhat of a value around $340,000. The car somewhere around $55,000. The beach cottage somewhere around 110-ish. You know, that's a ballpark figure. Okay, let's all go off and make our own bids. So everyone writes down their bids for each of the 3 items, as this chart shows. This is what they bid. Okay? Give you a chance to write that. I'll pause it. So this is step 1. Step 1 is make your bids. All right, so as you're writing this down, who won the house? Who is the highest bidder? It's very simple. Who? Mikey. Who won the car? Ellie. Who won the beach cottage? Okay, so step 2. Winning bidders. I'm going to put this in quotes for the first time. Pay, but they don't actually. Mikey didn't come into this with $389,000 in his pocket. Let's be realistic. But so on paper, we're going to say, all right, winning bidders pay their bids into the compensation fund. I'll write this out. So this mirrors what we said in words, steps. And I'm writing a little bit bigger than I did the other periods. Oh, well. So I'll squeeze this in there. So 389,000, and I got to look at my sheet so I can do. So you don't have to do the math for me. 58,000 and 120,000, and that grand total is 567,000 flat. We will now call that the CF, the compensation fund. Fine. So here we go. All right, step 3. Everyone okay? Good. Okay. Speak for the class. Step 3. This is where it gets weird, but this is all on paper. So step 3 is to distribute a share or shares back to the people from the compensation fund. And again, this is all done on paper, and this may seem strange, but you'll see how this actually, people walk out of this with almost getting like 1/4 of what the values are, really depending on their bids, though. So, but how does this happen? Oh, I forgot. This is the 3rd time in a row I forgot this. What you need to do before you do step, what you have to do before, what is going on there? Okay, before this is actually add these up. Oh my goodness. Some green. So what you got to do is add up in this, maybe in another column. Add another column if this was a question that was on a worksheet. And add up the perceived values of all 3 objects of all 4 individuals. So, Jack, I'm just getting a total. His total was 521,000. What he thought all 3 objects were all together. Ryan thought everything added up to 539, or his 3 bids add up to 539,000. So that's his perceived value of all 3 objects added all together. Mikey, 557. And then what I kind of said offline, look at Ellie. She underbid on the house, so her total bids only added up to 488,000. And we have a customer, so I get a pause. Now, so remember, you got to leave. No, you got to go. Oh, I know. I'm just saying this immediately. All right. So what does everyone get? What the network firewall? What? Okay. All right. So remember, it was 1/4. Why is it 1/4? How many people are there? 4. They get 1/4 back of their perceived value of all 3 objects from the compensation fund. So they get 1/4 of, in this case, 521. I'm looking up that number. That's 130,250. Oh, I know what I forgot. This is Jack. So I got to get the names here. So it's probably good I'm going slow, huh? Oh, my goodness. This computer. Go away. Why is this here? All right, Jack. And then Ryan. What in dog's name is going on? Ryan. Stupid computer. Gets 1/4 out of the compensation fund of his perceived value. And that ends up being 134,750. Whoa. And then Mikey gets 1/4 of his perceived value. So this is just a process to be memorized in a way. I don't think it's too challenging. Like I said, the other 2 hours, like, yeah, okay, I get it. And it'll all come together at the end if you're confused why this is all happening. When we walk away from the table on step 5, you'll see why these calculations are being done. And then the last is Ellie, who did a little underbidding on the house. Might have been for personal reasons. I don't want that house. But her underbidding is actually going to give her less of a dollar amount right here, which does affect what she gets at the end. So that's why that number, as I'm writing this down, that number 1 in the book really shows the effect on you when you underbid really bad. So imagine someone, I don't want the car, so somebody bids $1 here. Well, they really have hurt themselves when it comes to this step, because this is part of what they get back in the whole process. All right, so that's step 3. This is what I was talking about, step 4. This is physically impossible not to happen. Step 4, we distribute the leftovers from the compensation fund. These numbers right here physically have to add up to be less than this because these came from the highest bids. And these are averages of bids that are lower than that. So what you do is you take 567,000 and subtract all of these numbers from it. And I don't want to rewrite them, so I'm being lazy. So hopefully you understand what those arrows mean. I take 567,000 minus 130, minus 134 blah, minus 139 blah, minus 122,000. And I'll write that next after I pause. So when you take 567,000 minus all of those distributions in step 3, you end up with 40,750. This has to be distributed evenly. So what do I have to divide this by? 4. And that number, looking at my sheet, so we don't have to make students calculate for me. They probably wouldn't anyway. $10,187.50. Okay, then I'll pause and let people catch up because now it's step 5. All right, step 5. Step 5, what do we walk away with? Step 5, final distribution, we'll call it. Final Final distribution, or what does everyone walk away from the table with? All right, so here we go. Jack. By the way, did Jack win any bids? Fumble. Did Jack win any bids? No, Jack's going to walk away with cold, hard cash then. That's what he gets. So even though he didn't win any bids from the compensation fund, how this all works out, Jack's walking away with money. And what money is that? The $130,000 that you see up there, the 1/4 of his perceived values, plus that distribution that everyone gets, $10,187.50. And then for purposes of time and not asking you to calculate, that ends up being $140,437.50. So Jack got no bids, won, but he walks away from the table with $140,000. And he has no responsibilities of owning a house, a car, or a cottage. Not too bad. Ryan, what did Ryan win, by the way? What did Ryan win? The beach house. So first of all, he does get $134,000 on paper, $750. He does on paper get the $10,187.50. But what did he win? What did he win? He won the beach house. How much was he supposed to pay for it? How much was he supposed to pay for it? How much was he supposed to pay for it? Thank you, Chief in the back. He's going to pay for it then. So we're going to incorporate that as a negative number right here. So that's how you can understand what he walks away with. So he never came with $120,000. See, it was all done on paper. Then he gets 1/4 of his perceived value back, and then 1/4 of the leftovers. And then this is how we mathematically figure out what does he walk away with at the table. So you calculate this: 134 plus 10 minus the 120, and what this ends up being is, I hope I don't screw this up, 24. I'm trying to do the calculations on the fly here in my head. 937.50. Is that a positive or a negative? Does he have more positives or negatives here? That should be simple to figure out. Positive. So he walks away with $24,000 and the cottage. So you see how this works out? So he gets cash and the cottage. He gets less cash than Jack because Jack didn't win anything. He's not walking away with any of the three items. And it is close to being equal as far as what they walk away with. And Ryan has the cottage, and he has responsibilities of upkeeping it, which has costs involved, and so on and so on and so forth. All right, I don't want to go too far in that because I need to see Mikey and Ellie. What did Mikey end up winning, by the way? What did Mikey win? House. Didn't he pay a pretty penny for it? He's still going to get, on paper, his perceived values, 1/4 of that, $139,250. The leftover compensation fund money. But now he's getting a big negative here. How much did he pay for that house when he won the bid? $389. And that equals, is that a positive or a negative number? That's a big negative. And this is what I mean about who's actually going to pay when they're done here. I got to calculate that though. Thank you for the support. So, Mikey ends up paying. That's why I put a negative number there. You could put a negative or say that he pays $239,562.50, but he walks away with the house. Now think about what he got though. He got a house that might be worth $380,000, $370,000, but he only paid $239,000 for it. So he did walk away with something of value. He got a cheaper, much cheaper price on the house. The problem is now Mikey's got to get that money. So somehow he's got to take out a loan, or maybe he has it. And then guess what? This money actually equals the cash that all the other people are going to get. We didn't do the last one yet, but she is going to walk away with cash in the car. So do understand that. So at the end, okay, you're the one that owes money. You got to come up with the cash. Okay, I'll go take a loan. I should have no problem getting a loan for a house that's worth $380,000 getting a loan that's only like $240,000. All right, so that's how that would work. All right, then the last one, Ellie, she underbid a little bit. So she's going to get a little bit less out of this whole situation. She can't complain about it. It was her perceived value. Maybe she didn't want the house. She didn't want the hassle. But how much did she pay for the car? What was that winning bid? Anyone with good notes? I don't want to look up. $58,000. So we're going to subtract $58,000 out of that. And that equals, we'll find out from a helper in class. Say that one more time. 74,000. So Ellie walks away with that much cash plus the car. And you will see that these positive numbers here add up to this $239,000 that the other person had to pay in order to get the house as well. So kind of try to look at this at the end and say they all roughly came out with 1/4 of the values. Not quite with Ellie though because of her underbid. When you add 74,000 plus the 58,000, you don't quite get what Jack got for cash, 140,000. But it's close. And they can't complain about their bidding. It was their bidding that they did. So that's why you get 1/4 of what you bid in the second step. All right? So in the end, hopefully this makes sense as we close it, how this all works out. All right? All right, I'm done.